So today I'm going over some of the best comics of 2020, my top 10 list of must-haves. I put a lot of thought into this. I thought about the story, the artwork, and even speculation purposes. So keep watching this video to see if your list matches mine. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. AR Comics here, and before I get started on my top 10 list of some of the best comics of 2020, I just have to say thank you so much for all the continued support. I told myself when I made this channel I was going to make at least 100 videos before I made my final judgment if I was going to continue on with it or not, but the other day I passed my 100th video, and I've got to say, I love doing this with you guys. We've reviewed so many comic books, we've opened up a ton of packages, and we've talked about a lot of speculation, and more importantly, together we've raised over $350 for mental health awareness. That is incredible. Thank you so much. But another cool thing, we recently just passed 2,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for all the continued support. And now, without further ado, let's get started on some of this year's best comic books top 10 list. So overall, this has definitely been a very crazy year. COVID screwed pretty much everything up for everybody, but at least we can agree on that we got some pretty solid comic books out of this year. So everything in my top 10 list right here didn't all come from 2020, but they're still at least all ongoings. But there were so many good books that we got this year, I couldn't put everything into a top 10 list, so I got a few runner-ups to go over first. First up, we've got The Department of Truth by James Tynion IV. I love this series. I love the story. It's such a fresh idea, and I haven't read a comic book like this. I'm not a huge fan of the art, but I couldn't put this in my top 10 list because there's just not enough issues yet. But this is definitely something that you need to be reading, especially before it goes up even more in price. After that, we've got Firepower. This is another series that I can't stop recommending to people. I really like the story, and I know Image is really gearing up for this to be a very long series, but the one problem I'm having is that it kind of flip-flops between issues. Some are very action-packed, low dialogue, while other ones are very, very dialogue and plot-driven, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because I'm reading it and I really want to read the next issue, but I know that's a turnoff to a lot of people, and sometimes it's even a turnoff for me, but it's still something that you need to be checking out because, like I said, I'm pretty sure they're gearing up for a long series with this one. After Firepower, we've got Seven Secrets by Boom Studios. I love this series. I can't stop recommending this one to everybody. Everyone I talk to is loving it. I love the artwork. It's another very fresh idea, but the problem is there's very limited issues right now in it, and I just can't put it in my top 10 list. And now for the final issue that I know you guys are looking at like, man, he really threw that one in there. We've got the new Batman run by James Tynion. I haven't read everything, so definitely I couldn't put it in my top 10 list for that reason, but I read the newest arc so far. I've read some of the Joker War, not everything yet, but I love the artwork. I love the story. I love everything he's doing with it, and I know if I read the whole thing and just continuing on with it, it's definitely something that should be in my top 10, but for those reasons, it can't be. So these were all the runner-ups. I love all of these stories. I think they're fantastic, and I can't recommend them enough to people, but now let's move on to the real deal. So first up, we've got coming in at number 10, Family Tree, written by Jeff Lemire. If you've been following me in my videos, you know I love Jeff Lemire's writing. I love his stories. Pretty much all of his stuff that he's been making has been typically on my top list, and this one is no different. It's a very unique story. If you're not reading it, it's pretty much like the end of the world, but the main character is slowly turning into a tree, and I don't know, a bunch of crazy stuff happens. We're on a brand new arc right now. You should read the original arc. You can get away with not reading it because they give a little bit of backstory, but it's something you do not want to miss out on. It's a very good read. Check it out. And now we have coming in at number 9, Philadelphia. Thanks to you guys, I continued on with the series. A lot of you were saying, pick it up, get caught up in it. It gets way better. And you guys were right. The story just took off. I only read the first few issues. I wasn't really into it. I didn't really know where they were going to go with it, but they definitely went really deep into the series. They went a totally different direction than I could have imagined they went. But initially, the main turnoff to me was the artwork, and it still kind of is. I'm not a huge fan of the art, just like Family Tree, but I can look past it, and it kind of goes well with the story itself. It's just not particularly me, but this story is incredible. I think I read all 9 or 10 issues, whatever we're on right now. I read them all in the same day, and it blew my mind. I couldn't believe that I was missing out on it for so long, but this is a must read in my opinion. Check out Philadelphia. Next up, coming in at number 8, we've got Miles Morales' Spider-Man. This is the current ongoing series written by Saladin Ahmed, and let me tell you, he did an incredible job capturing who Miles Morales really is. They did a great job balancing him being a hero, a student at school, and still just being a son to his family. They show all the different aspects of everything, and they even introduced a lot of first appearances, and those first appearances are selling for good money too. I love Starling. She's such a fun character. They even introduced her into the Champions group, so you know she's going to be sticking around for a little while. Admittedly, I don't really like the newest arc. I don't think it's that great, but all the original arcs, everything leading up to this current one, has been incredible. And not to just downplay the newest one, it's not bad, it's just not my favorite out of all of them. And the artwork on top of that is very good too. I think overall it's just a fantastic story. I know we're a little deep in the issues, I think we're on like 22 or 23, but it's definitely something you need to be checking out. If you can't get these early issues, get a trade paperback, it's worth it. And now we have coming in at number 7, we've got Undiscovered Country. This is another series that I can't stop recommending to everybody. I know a lot of people do complain about saying it's a little slow, it's dragging on a little bit, and I agree, it kind of is on some issues. Some are very action-packed, some are pretty dialogue-heavy, but the dialogue they do have is very plot-driven. It really progresses the story, and they do an incredible job with it. If you're not reading it, it's pretty much the world has gone to shit. There's a sky virus, and America has shut their borders. They've shut everything down, they're completely sealed off, but they send a message out saying that they have the cure. A group goes into America for the first time in X amount of years, and they realize everything is screwed up. There's 12 different zones, and the arcs are kind of based on the different zones. We're only on zone number 2, so you need to be reading this. It's also optioned. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a movie, so for speculation purposes, it's definitely something worth investing in, but not just that, you need to be reading it. And now, coming in at number 6, we have Thor, the brand new ongoing written by Donny Cates. I don't need to get into Donny Cates because everyone already knows the stuff he writes and everyone loves him. Everyone is constantly talking about Donny Cates. And in my opinion, he did a great job with his story so far. Those few issues in between that was bridging the first arc to this next arc, I didn't really enjoy, but they were very important to this current arc. The one thing that people aren't talking about enough is Nick Klein's artwork on this. That is what really pulls this story together. Anything could be written well, but if the artwork sucks, people aren't going to care about it. But since the artwork is incredible, they just assume the Thor story is so good. But they don't talk about Nick Klein enough in this one. I think he deserves a lot of credit to this series because a lot of people were complaining about those 2 middle issues, and guess what? He didn't do the artwork. So in my opinion, definitely a great series. Coming in at number 6, check out Thor. And now we're down to my top 5 issues of the best comics of 2020. Coming in at number 5, we've got Year Zero. I know a lot of you were not expecting this one to be on my list, but if you've been following my videos, you know I love Year Zero. But I think it's coming in at number 5 because I want more. I want so many more of these issues. It's so well written. I love the artwork, and it's so unique. Who doesn't love zombies? I know a lot of people think it's overplayed, but they do a great job with this. The story itself follows 4 different survivors. They're kind of off doing their own thing. They're in different regions of the world, and they're just surviving. They show the aspects of it, what they're up to, how they're living, and you don't particularly need to read this first arc to pick up the newest one, but it's definitely necessary just because it's such a well-written story. So do yourself a favor if you can find it. I know these issues are a little bit pricier for this first arc, but pick up Year Zero. It's one of the best, if not the best, series by AWA Upshot right now. And now we have coming in at number 4, Strange Academy. I love this series. I can't stop recommending it to everybody I talk to about comic books. I love the story, I love the artwork, and I'm specking on it pretty hard too. I think this can be Marvel's very own Harry Potter. The only issue I have is I wish there were more issues out. I would have put it higher on my list, but there's just not enough for me to make a real opinion on it just yet. They did introduce the latest villains, and I like what they're doing with them, but we just haven't seen enough yet. They're really focusing on the school and teaching these kids the magic, but they haven't really done a whole lot just yet, so for those reasons, it's coming in at number 4. Next up, coming in at number 3, we have Something is Killing the Children, another series that I can't stop talking about. Once this series came out, I was on it immediately. I loved everything about it. The artwork grows on you. I know a lot of people I've talked to haven't really enjoyed the artwork, but the story is there. If you're not reading this, you're missing out. This is one of Boom Studios, if not Boom Studios' best series. It's a small town. All these children can see the monsters, but the adults can't, and they're all killing the kids. There's another outside organization that comes in to try and stop these monsters, and they've got their own weird prerogative going on. They're a little creepy. I love where they're going with this. At first I was thinking, I don't know how they can expand on this and really grow, but they have. James Tynion IV has done a great job, and this is something you need to be reading. And now we've got, coming in at number 2, Venom, written by Donny Cates, but the real key to this entire series has been Ryan Stegman's artwork. He doesn't get nearly enough credit that he deserves. Donny Cates honestly writes a very good story, but it's so pulled together with Ryan Stegman's work. He kills it on Venom. I have been reading this since the beginning, and I'm really enjoying it. I haven't liked the latest arc, that whole Venom Beyond. I'm going to be honest, I thought it was pretty bad. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't what I enjoy about Venom, but I loved everything up to that. I looked forward to every single issue, and I was not let down by any of them. So other than those last few kind of bad issues, and they really weren't that bad, I just didn't personally like them. This has been overall an incredible series and a must read. Check out Venom if you haven't already. There's so many trades. I think there's a couple hardcovers too. Don't miss out. And now we have, coming in at number 1, my best issue of 2020. Would it be me if it wasn't an indie comic? We've got Gideon Falls. I love this series. This is my favorite series I have read all year. I can't believe I was so behind on everything. It's done this month, which definitely sucks, but it has been a ride. Jeff Lemire has done great writing, but the real key is Andrea Sorrentino's artwork. That artwork pulls this story together so well. It's everything I want in a comic book. It's horror, it's creepy. It gives you chills just looking at it sometimes. It literally is just nightmare fuel if you read this at night. It is incredible. Do not miss out on this. There are so many trade paperbacks. I'm sure there's going to be a hardcover. I think there was even a local comic book shop day hardcover. This is something you need to be reading. I talked to it with almost everybody that loves comic books, and they haven't given this one a shot. Do yourself a favor. This is easily my top number 1 choice. Read this. So what'd you guys think? I know you didn't have some of those indie titles on your list, but I would love to hear what your top choice of the year was. Let me know down low in the comments section, but if you liked the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, and if you want to miss out on any of my upcoming content, hit the subscribe button down low and the little bell to get notified every time I drop new content. You won't regret it. And I've got 2 more videos sitting off to the side here with more of my comic book content. Click on one of those and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.